Hi, I'm Jesse. This is CreateBase. We wanted to show a little preview of something we're working on that will help get information out of artists' brains and into our system so that they can collect their royalties more easily than ever. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the CreateBase Smart Assistant, go ahead and pause this video, go to that one. It'll give you a really good understanding of just some of the technology that CreateBase is coming out with in the next coming days to be able to make processes easier for artists to enable them to get that information out of their brains into an organized format so that they can get paid their proper royalties. What you're looking at on the screen right now is our document to split engine. Now, we already have the story to splits engine that allows an artist to use their phone, microphone, or other device to be able to tell us information about a song to register a new song. But what about the songs that are already online? What about the songs that are already getting certain amounts of royalties at their PRO, at the MLC, at SoundExchange, etc.? All of those organizations produce statements that have those songs on them. And we want to make it as easy as possible for an artist to be able to give us that information. So we've built a document recognizer and importer that will take everything from a Word document turned into a PDF that will have somebody's name on it, along with a listing of a percentage that they get, something that's a very, very basic idea for a split sheet, all the way up to a full catalog export from something like Curve Systems or BMI or ASCAP. As we go on into the future, we're going to support more and more organizations, more and more document types. It's my dream that someday we'll be able to support a camera phone picture of a cocktail napkin that has some names and some song titles scribbled on it. I really hope we'll get there because I know that more than a few songs have been registered that way. But for now, let me show you what this looks like with a couple of different files. I'll use a BMI file, a Curve file, and then a PDF of a Word document like I was talking about. So we're going to use my friend Mauricio's music. I'm going to upload his BMI file. And eventually, we're going to implement this auto detection algorithm. But for now, I'm going to explicitly choose the BMI CSV file. And within a few seconds, it should bring everything back. All right, we've got 85 songs, which I know is the number of songs in that file. And we've got a bunch of different data on all of these different songs. Let's take a look at one of these. Now, this information looks pretty good. We've got an ISWC, we've got a BMI ID. We don't have a lot of other things. Notably, we're missing an MLC ID, but we do have a bunch of writers and a bunch of publishers. And this stuff all looks good to the human eye. If I were to go double check this information, I would have to go to the database for the MLC or perhaps to SongView, which is the project that is held in common between ASCAP and BMI. And I would have to look at that information and keep going back and forth between different tabs. Nothing is automatically recognized. There's certainly no, color highlighting or anything that makes a user-friendly experience to double check that information. So with CreateBase, we've brought all this information in-house. I've just clicked the MLC and SongView buttons. The MLC data comes back right away because we have a downloadable copy of the entire MLC dataset. That's something that they provide to anybody who wants it. And then the SongView data we actually have to go get from the SongView website. So it takes a little bit longer for that to come back. But let's take a look at how we're doing at the MLC. It looks like this song is mostly correct. We're missing the MLC ID, so I've got that now. And it looks like we also have a couple of administrator publishers that we weren't recognizing as far as the data is concerned in the file. So MLC has given us some additional data. These two publishers represent other publishers in the chain. There's a relationship between them. SongView just came back. It looks like we have a brand new ASCAP ID, which is great. There are no conflicts with this. So a conflict essentially means this data is different than the data that you have in your file. Missing just means this data wasn't in your file. And it looks like we're missing a lot of the publishers. So sometimes what will happen is that a publisher will have a comma in its name or not a comma in its name. That can actually cause royalties to not be paid. Even something as basic as a piece of missing punctuation or a space in the wrong place. Eventually, what we'd like to do is get all of this information to be in one and only one data format. So if someone is not a CreateBase member, the most we can do is allow them to edit the file, and they can put in things like a missing ISRE or a missing ISWC. They can put in missing BMI work ID or an ASCAP work ID or an MLC work ID. They can change any of this information about contributors and their IPIs, even the name spelling of the contributor, the role that that contributor might have, from writer to composer to lyricist. to some sort of publisher or record label, but they can't directly correct those problems if they're not a Createbase member. We will allow them to export that information. They can do it in their own systems, or they can provide that file to their existing publisher or record label for correction. If they are a Createbase member, the interface looks a little bit different. They can consolidate these pictures of the different takes down into a single master take. And then from that master take, they can just say, Createbase, go correct this information. And we'll do that for them. I want to go ahead and show you what it looks like for a different type of file. The process is largely the same, but just to prove that we can, in fact, handle all these different types of files, I'd like to look at a Curve catalog statement. Now, Curve is a multi-page Excel file. It has different relationships of different people. It's got different relationships of codes going back to the primary song. There's a lot of complex information in there. And I have just a few selected works from Mauricio where we can see a lot of the same information. Here's a song we were looking at earlier. We have a lot more information from this song as well. Still not showing those admin publishers. Here we have two different matches from MLC. This one looks like an arrangement of this other one, but that's valuable for us to know that these two songs are connected to the same base work. You can see the Createbase has already done some collection for Mauricio on behalf of this work. It's probable that we actually registered this separate version for the first time. So this version probably didn't exist a few months ago when we started working with him. So that is how a Curve statement with all of its complex information would get into the Createbase system. And then finally, I want to take a look at one more file. This is maybe the most challenging type of file we've worked with. It's just a PDF of a Word document. The only thing it has in it are people's names and a list of songs. So we're going to drop this into our document parser. We're going to see if we can handle that. I'm going to go ahead and choose generic PDF document. And this one takes just a tiny bit longer, just because we are sending it out for document recognition and trying to use an algorithm, which is partially AI enhanced, in order to figure out where the different fields are and develop confidence around them and make sure that we have the correct information in the correct place. We're getting an over 90% accuracy rate with this parsed information, even coming from extremely messy files. So we're pretty proud of that. It looks like we've got our songs. I'm going to go ahead and check MLC song view for these, and we'll see what comes back. So at the very least, it looks like I've gotten some publishers here from NLC, and it looks like I've got some NLC code. MLC code is extremely important because that is what NLC uses to pay out on. If you don't have this code on a song, it's very difficult to parse an MLC royalty statement so that you can make sure that the correct information, the correct royalties, the correct money goes to the right person for the right song. Especially if you're a record label or a publisher, this is invaluable information to be able to add onto your registration. And it looks like we have some information back from SongView as well. So we've got various different publishers in here. We've got all the IPIs for those publishers. We've got a brand new ISWC for the song. We've got an ASCAP ID and a BMI ID that weren't there before. And because we're matching on the writer name, the title, we're pretty sure that this is the correct song, which means that, again, if you are a Createbase member, you can just go through the interface to consolidate all of this information into the best version that you want put forth into all of these different databases so that they will have identical matching data. If you're not a Createbase member, we can offer you an export so that your publisher or your record label or whoever you're working with can take that information and make manual corrections on their end. If you are a record label or a publisher, we would love to work with you. We would love to make the power of the Createbase just go get it done system available to you so that you don't have to make all of these changes manually at each royalty database. You can just say, this is the version I want to have across every platform, and the Createbase team will take it from there, make sure it happens. Ultimately, we're really trying to cut down on operational overhead, both for artists themselves, as well as for other participants in the music industry, publishers, record labels, distributors. We're really happy to work with anybody to make this space fundamentally less complicated and more straightforward. So thank you. That is our presentation for today. Hopefully this will be live soon. We're just getting it out of prototype mode and into a fully productionized system.